Welcome everyone to the overview of the new contract for services under $10,000 template, or the CFS under $10,000 for short. I'm Aaron Rosenthal, Assistant Director of Contracts and Systems for UIC Purchasing, and I'm here today with Bradley Henson, Associate Director of Contracts for UIUC Purchasing, and Darren Strader, Associate Director of University Payables. We have a very large group of attendees on the line with us today, so a huge thank you to everyone for participating. We're really excited to share more about the updated contract template with you. We're going to start out by highlighting a few key areas in the GoToWebinar interface. First, on the left side of the controls is an orange arrow, which is the Auto Hide button. You can click the Auto Hide button to minimize or display the control panel. Second, there is a yellow hand button, which is how you raise your hand. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to please raise their hand to let us know that you can hear us and see the PowerPoint that we're displaying. I see the hands are going up. I'll give everyone just another minute to test out that functionality. Thank you. I'm now going to go ahead and lower everyone's hands. Last, please draw your attention to the questions field that I'm showing at the center of the screen. Due to the extremely large number of attendees for today's session, we have disabled audio for participants. However, we'd still love to answer your questions. If you have a question at any time, please type it in this questions field and click send. You can submit a question throughout the session. Darren will be monitoring them, and we have time reserved at the end to answer your questions. We'll start today by providing some general background on the recent template updates. We'll then cover key aspects of the CFS under $10,000 template, including how to initiate, execute, and submit the template for payment. We'll touch on relevant policy and web page updates, and at the end of today's session, representatives from Purchasing and University Payables will be available to answer any questions that you may have. Please be advised, this webinar is intended to be a high-level overview, and we strongly recommend that units carefully read all of the detailed instructions that are provided with the CFS under $10,000 template. On October 5th, 2015, the OBFS contracting offices announced an increase in the contract template signature threshold, along with updates to several contract templates and related policies. Procurement Services updated both of its primary contract templates. First, the template that used to be called the Professional and Artistic Services under $5,000 template became the Contract for Services under $10,000 template, or the CFS under $10,000 for short. Second, the template that used to be called the U of I Services $5,000 or more template became the Contract for Procurement of Services, or the POS template for short. This webinar will focus entirely on the CFS under $10,000 template. One key update related to the CFS under $10,000 template is that it increased the unit template dollar threshold from $5,000 to $10,000. The CFS under $10,000 template replaces the old Professional and Artistic Services under $5,000 template. This updated template is still a unit template, which means that if it's unmodified and the total dollar amount for the life of the contract is under $10,000, you can process the contract without purchasing involvement. The CFS under $10,000 template is a services contract and should not be used to purchase goods or supplies. The template instructions also contain a list of services that are specifically prohibited for use on this template. On the screen is the full list of services that are prohibited for use on the CFS under $10,000 template. For example, services for the support or provision of patient care are prohibited on this template. The CFS under $10,000 template should not be used to contract for physicians. Units should contact purchasing if they're ever unsure about whether a service is prohibited. The CFS under $10,000 template is limited to a term of 1 year and no renewals are allowed. The CFS under $10,000 template, when submitted for payment in TEM, should not be used for multiple payments. If multiple payments are necessary, then the unit should submit the executed template, including the instruction pages, to their campus purchasing department to be processed with a purchase order. The Purchase Contracting for Services website and template instructions will be updated very soon with instructions regarding submission of the template to purchasing for multiple payments. Please note the multiple payment instructions will vary by campus. For UIUC and UIS, we ask that the department add CFS in the banner requisition comments field and CFS in the subject line of the email to purchasing to allow easy identification of the template on intake. For UIC, if you require multiple payments, please initiate an I-Buy requisition on the route to purchasing form, attach the executed template contract as an internal attachment, and add CFS to the beginning of the internal notes section. Again, we'll be updating the Contract for Services website and the template instructions very soon with all of those detailed instructions on how to handle multiple payments. Please also note, stringing is strictly prohibited. Stringing is the dividing or planning of procurements to avoid use of competitive procedures. At this time, I'm going to hand things over to Brad Henson, who is going to talk about some key provisions of the CFS under $10,000 instructions.
Great, thanks Aaron. Good morning everyone. The instructions page. Page 3 of the CFS under 10,000 template instructions has several questions that the unit must answer if they are contracting with an individual. This is similar to what appeared in the under 5,000 template, but please make note of this. The instruction sheet. If contracting with an individual and the answer to any of these questions is yes, the CFS under 10,000 template cannot be used, and you should contact your purchasing office for additional assistance. Business entity type. Article 1 of the CFS under 10,000 contract is where the basic party information is filled in. Please note that there's a very important field after the vendor's name where the vendor's business type needs to be filled in. Business type refers to what type of entity the vendor is, such as a corporation, sole proprietor, LLC, LLP, etc. And is important information if the contract is ever involved in litigation. Execution. As long as the CFS under 10,000 template is unmodified and the total cost remains under 10,000 for the life of the contract, the unit head is authorized to sign without the need to run the contract through purchasing. If any sort of modification is made, whether it's the vendor crossing out a word, attaching an exhibit, please contact the purchasing office on your campus for assistance. To ensure that your contract is properly executed, please be mindful of this 3-piece execution checklist. First, if the contract is with an individual, the unit must answer the questions on page 3 of the template instructions. Second, the unit must ensure that signatures are obtained on page 7 of the contract. And finally, there are state certifications that follow the main contract document. Please note that certification number 32 is not applicable, so the vendor does not need to check the box there. However, all 3 items, the instructions, the contract, and state certifications must be kept together as the complete contract. The signature block. The signature block for the CFS under 10,000 template functions largely the same as the one under the old $5,000 template. Again, so long as the template is unmodified, the unit head signs instead of someone in OBFS. The unit head signs the 2 lines below where it says the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois. On the top of those 2 lines, they will actually sign Walter K. Knorr for the comptroller, and on the bottom of the 2 lines, they will sign their own name. The right side of the signature block is where the vendor will sign. Please note their actual signature appears on the line that says by : with the printed name on the next line. The department should have the vendor sign first, and full execution is a signature and date. Amendment. The new CFS under 10,000 template, units are authorized to make one amendment by using a new amendment to contract for services under 10,000 template in 3 specific situations that are outlined in the template instructions. 1, to modify the scope of work. 2, to increase or decrease the cost as long as the total cost remains under 10,000 for the life of the contract. Or 3, to extend the term of the contract as long as the total term of the amended contract does not exceed 12 months. Again, please note that only one amendment is allowed per contract. Also, the amendment must be executed before the contract is submitted in TEM for payment. At this time, I'm going to turn this over to Darren for some additional TEM information.
Thanks, Brad. Well, first of all, we want to make sure that one of the first parts of the whole process is to make sure that you've submitted a vendor ad form to our department so they can check and make sure that the vendor is not on a excluded parties list, and that their tax ID number matches what the IRS has. And if they're a brand new vendor, then you'll have to wait to get the vendor number back that it was set up for this. Next slide. Submit in TEM using the purpose miscellaneous payments to vendors, non-employees, and students. You can see in the middle bottom of the screen the purpose that you select when you're creating an expense report. Make sure you use the miscellaneous payments for vendors, non-employees, and students. That's where most of the service-related account codes reside, and so you should be able to find what you need when you use that purpose. Okay, the next slide, very important. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner where you have all the information like the payee name, UIN, all that good stuff. There's a field called contract number. Okay, in that field where the pointer is right now, you need to put CFS, contract for services, in that field, and that helps us, all of procurement services, recognize that this is a contract for services payment, and that we can use that to further help on down the line when we're going to be doing some post-pay auditing on these contracts. I think I have one more. Okay, and then uploading the documentations into TEM, we would need the completed instruction page and contract executed. All that Brad had just gone over needs to be on the contract before it's submitted for payment. And we would also need the amendment if applicable, and vendor invoice if available. It's nice to have, but it's not required. We recognize the fact that most of the payment information is contained within the contract document itself, so it ought to be able to serve as well as an invoice, but a lot of places do actually send an invoice. So I think I'm going to be turning it back over to Brad, and he's going to be talking a little bit about some post-audit activity.
Yep, thanks, Darren. All right, post-audit. So units should be aware purchasing will be performing a quarterly post-audit on CFS under 10,000 template contracts. TEM will house the audit file information. The initial post-audit will include all CFS under 10,000 contracts, with subsequent audits potentially focusing just on a sample. And purchasing will reach out to units for which templates were not used properly. New contracts should not be initiated on the old professional and artistic services under 5,000 templates. Procurement Services recognizes that units may have initiated contracts on the old P&A under 5 templates prior to October 5th of 2015. Accordingly, University Payables will process for payments in the TEM system P&A under 5 template contracts that are executed on or before November 2nd of 2015. Any P&A agreement under 5,000 template contract that is executed after November 2nd will be rejected by UPay. So after November 2nd, you need to use the new template. Policy and web page updates. Sections 1, 8, and 17.1 of the OBFS policies and procedures have been updated to be consistent with the updates to the CFS under 10,000 templates. And we encourage you to carefully review those sections. Each time you initiate a contract on the CFS under 10,000 template, please go to the OBFS contract forms page and download a fresh template. The latest version of the template will always be located there.